So today's story begins in the year 1942 when the Second World War was at its peak. The place was a remote area in Australia, where some soldiers were busy preparing for their next mission in the middle of a dense jungle. Their chief officer, who had lost one hand in the previous war, was explaining the upcoming dangers to them through his experience. The atmosphere was completely serious. Every soldier was listening to his words carefully. Among them was a young man named Will, who compared to everyone else was trying to absorb every detail with more concentration and seriousness. The soldiers were being told that they were now going to enter enemy territory, where death could be lurking everywhere. Therefore, before departing, they had to complete a training exercise. In this training, they had to pass through the jungle and reach their camp in just 4 hours. If they failed to arrive in the allotted time, the entire exercise would have to be repeated. The officer set the watch, and a few moments later the sergeant gave the signal. All the soldiers ran quickly towards the jungle, trying to find a safe path. But it was a rainy day, and from the very beginning, the path was slippery and difficult. While running, the atmosphere slowly turned into a competition. Some soldiers even refused to help their comrades, because everyone was now trying to reach the camp first. In this chaos, Will's foot slipped, and he fell straight into a deep, mud-filled pit. He tried to pull himself out, but the more he moved, the more his body slowly sank. In just a few moments, he was completely submerged in the marsh. But then, a soldier grabbed his hand. He used all his strength to pull him up, and finally got him out of the water. That soldier's name was Leo. Both quickly learned each other's names and moved forward without wasting any time. Amidst the rain and mud, they kept moving forward with their last bit of strength. As they neared the camp, the timer was about to run out. Will and Leo sprinted at full speed and reached the camp just 3 seconds early. The officer praised their courage and teamwork, and allowed them to rest for a while. Meanwhile, the other soldiers were ordered to continue the exercise again. Hearing this, a soldier named Denny got angry and asked why they received this punishment. The officer replied in a serious voice, "In war, a real soldier is one who helps his comrade. Will and Leo have proven just that today." After this, Will and Leo were sitting under a tree eating oranges while the other soldiers were sweating it out on the field. Sometime later, the sergeant trained all the soldiers in making traps in the jungle, as it was crucial for survival in war. And the next day, attack training began. First, Thompson was used as an example, which scared him. Later, when it was Denny's turn, he accidentally injured Will. The officer questioned his action, but Denny gave a sarcastic reply. Seeing this, Leo got angry. He hit Denny, and both fell into the river and started fighting. Denny had a blade, but Leo snatched it from him. During the scuffle, Denny pushed Leo into the water again, and he didn't come up for a while. All the soldiers panicked. The officer warned that if Denny didn't find him, it would be considered his death. Then suddenly, Leo emerged from the water and knocked Denny down with a single punch. After the fight ended, Leo was seen in the medical tent, where he was getting his wounds dressed by a nurse. He took a liking to the nurse, but she didn't pay him much attention. A few days later, the scene changed completely. The group of soldiers was now on a combat ship, moving forward through a stormy sea. Inside the ship, the atmosphere was uneasy. Some soldiers were playing games, while others were anxiously talking about their next mission. Meanwhile, Leo suddenly woke up. He often had nightmares that stole his sleep. The ship was continuously moving towards the front line, but before it could reach its destination, it was attacked by enemies. Explosions went off one after another. The ship took heavy damage and slowly began to be destroyed. In the next scene, there was devastation all around. The ship was burning, soldiers were screaming, and weapons were floating in the waves. But in that chaos, Leo had survived. He immediately looked for Will and pulled him out of the water in an unconscious state. Upon reaching the water's surface, Leo saw that the enemy was still attacking, trying to finish off the remaining soldiers. He immediately saved Will. Then Leo had to go back to gather some necessary supplies from the water. Will meanwhile stayed on a piece of the sinking ship so that anyone could see him and help. In the midst of this, the sergeant, who was still alive, was firing shots into the air, trying to save the soldiers. But suddenly, some strange creature began to emerge from under the sea and started swallowing everything around. The sergeant was shocked, but it wasn't long before that same creature attacked him and dragged him into the water. A little later, Leo returned with some supplies and equipment so Will could arrange them on a temporary boat. After this, Leo jumped back into the water to find other necessary items. A short while later, bubbles started rising in the water. Will got scared, thinking maybe Leo had returned. He moved towards the edge, but there he found Thompson, who had a serious head injury. On the other side, Leo was looking for things nearby, but all he saw was death and destruction. Then he returned to Will. On the temporary boat, the three of them heard voices coming from the mist and smoke. Hearing the voices, Leo immediately shouted. Just then, some surviving soldiers appeared, coming quickly from the front. Among them was Denny, who said that most of the men were dead. With him were Teddy, an injured Bobby, and Stan, who had been shot near the face. This group now started living together. A few hours later, they saw the remaining supplies and weapons. They were very few, but enough to survive. Will said he thought they were in the middle of the Timor Sea, so it would be difficult to get help for the next few days. He also mentioned that a thick fog was spread all around, which would clear in a few days, and only then could help arrive. The soldiers started trying to return home by following the ocean current. During that time, they saw a small motorboat nearby, which could be a chance for their rescue. Just then, something hit their raft. Someone guessed it might be a fish, so they didn't pay much attention. Then Leo asked who would go to that boat first. Bobby got ready and moved towards the boat. But suddenly, a big shark appeared in front of him. The shark attacked Bobby's legs and brutally dragged him into the water. The other soldiers were stunned to see this. Bobby struggled to save his life, but in the end, the shark took him into the depths. The group was left in shock. The day was slowly turning bright. Then Leo said in a grave voice, "This is a female great white shark. Maybe even longer than 6 meters. After this, Leo told everyone to be quiet because their voices could echo in the water and attract the beast. He also told them ways to avoid the shark, which made everyone curious about his knowledge and experience. Then the scene changes, and we see Leo remembering a dangerous moment from his childhood. He had gone sailing on the open sea with his brother. During the dive, a great white shark attacked, and his brother was killed in that accident. Some time later, all the soldiers were sitting quietly, tired and scared. Suddenly, someone pulled Stan's sheet and he fell straight into the water. He panicked and started swimming back quickly, but at that very moment, the sea monster, that same giant great white shark, attacked him. The other soldiers immediately sprang into action and tried to save him. The situation was deteriorating rapidly. Leo immediately ordered a grenade to be thrown. Will aimed and threw a grenade, and the loud sound of the explosion made the shark retreat some distance. But by then, it was too late. The shark had torn off one of Stan's legs. The soldiers immediately tied a cloth on his wound to stop the bleeding. But his condition was extremely critical, and everyone knew he didn't have much time left. And right nearby, that giant great white shark was still circling, as if waiting for the next opportunity. Well, many hours later, night fell. The darkness and silence increased their fear. Everyone began to feel that if they didn't reach that motorboat soon, their death was certain. Just then, Leo broke the silence. He gathered some items and said he would go alone. He tied some empty cans around himself to help him float and then slowly got into the water. Death was lurking below, but he couldn't stop. Leo moved forward quickly, and then there was a movement in the depths. The great white shark had returned. The shark lunged at him. But just then, the soldiers on the raft started firing. The sound of the bullets made the shark go down for a few moments. Seizing the opportunity, Leo used all his strength and reached the boat. He tied a rope, and the other soldiers began to pull him. But then Leo saw that the shark was heading towards him again. Seeing this, he, without wasting a moment, took out the grenade he had, and threw it towards the shark with all his might. The explosion raised the sea waves, and smoke spread all around. When everything settled, the shark was gone. Leo breathed a sigh of relief. For now they were safe. Now they had the boat. But when they tried to start the engine, it wouldn't start. All the soldiers sank into despair again. Just then, a strange siren sound was heard from a distance. Leo listened carefully, and said that the sound was from a siren stuck in the shark's fin, meaning it was still somewhere nearby, circling them. The very next moment, the shark hit their metal boat so hard that everyone nearly fell. Denny immediately picked up a grenade, but Leo stopped him. He said they had to wait for the right time, or they could get killed themselves. The night slowly passed. Everyone was tired and scared. The next morning, Denny, while turning in his sleep, accidentally pulled the safety pin of a grenade. The grenade slipped from his hand and rolled near Stan. Leo heard the sound and shouted, warning everyone. But it was too late. Stan saw the grenade. Then he looked at everyone for a moment and gave a slight smile. The next second, there was a loud explosion. Stan had sacrificed himself so that everyone else could live. That moment was extremely painful for everyone. There were tears in everyone's eyes, and for a few moments no one could say anything. Leo was filled with anger and grief. He yelled at Denny but quickly composed himself. Then everyone together wrapped Stan's body in cloth, and gave it to the sea. A little later, Leo wanted to distribute the food cans, but it was discovered that Thompson had eaten all the remaining food by himself. Anger flared up in everyone. But then, no one said anything. They knew that Thompson's mental balance had been disturbed after the head injury. Many hours passed. The sun climbed in the sky, and its heat was causing the seawater to evaporate. Everyone was exhausted from the heat and thirst. No one had water to drink. Some soldiers in despair thought that maybe now they would have to drink their own urine to stay alive. Some even did so. But then, suddenly, clouds gathered in the sky. Soon, sweet rain began to fall. Everyone raised their heads to the sky, opened their mouths and drank every drop as if it were their last hope for life. They felt relief after a long time, but this comfort did not last long. Well, in the silence of the night, Leo suddenly woke up to a sound. He looked around and saw the shark attacking Thompson. Before the other soldiers could do anything, Thompson was pulled into the depths. Now another comrade was lost. This time, Leo's spirit was completely broken. His mind was now filled with fear, anger, and exhaustion. He began to hallucinate that his brother was still in the water below, calling him. In madness, he jumped into the sea, but his comrades caught him in time and pulled him back. Meanwhile, the loud sound of engines echoed from the sky above. Hope ignited in everyone's eyes again. They waved their hands for help, shouted, and lit a smoke signal. But then Will listened carefully and said, "This is not our battalion's ship. It's an enemy aircraft." The next moment, a rain of bullets began. The enemy plane started firing at them. One soldier fell, hit by a bullet. The rest jumped into the water. In that chaos, Leo picked up his gun and started returning fire with all his might. During this, a bullet hit Leo, and he fell into the water, badly injured. Down in the sea, the great white shark was circling around them. Just then Will saw that Denny had pushed a wounded comrade towards the shark, so that he himself could be saved. A little later, when the gunfire stopped, Will and the other soldiers saw that Leo had aimed at the plane before falling. His last bullet had hit the mark. The enemy plane, turning into a plume of smoke, crashed into the sea. Leo barely survived. But when he regained consciousness and asked about his wounded comrade, Will told him the truth, that Denny had pushed his own wounded comrade in front of the shark to save his own life. Hearing this, Leo's blood boiled. In anger, he grabbed Denny's collar, and a fierce fight broke out between them. The situation worsened, and Leo, in his rage, pushed him towards the water, and at that very moment, the same giant shark which was lurking nearby pounced on him. His comrades used all their strength to save Denny, but he was now badly injured. Denny was now broken and full of remorse. In a trembling voice he said, "I'm scared. I don't want to die." Leo and Denny sat quietly for a while and started talking. If they survived, what would they do next? How would they return safely? Just then, Will saw a shadow emerging from the fog. He stood up and looked closely. The shadow was of an enemy soldier, holding a katana and standing on the wing of the submerged plane. Both comrades shouted together, "Will, throw the grenade." "It's the enemy." But when Will looked closely, he found that the enemy soldier was raising his hands, surrendering. He told Leo that maybe he had stopped. But then the enemy suddenly attacked them. Leo and Will immediately confronted him. Will kept trying, but he was weak. Leo, despite being injured, kept attacking the opponent, but due to his injuries and fatigue, his strength was fading. Suddenly, Leo was pushed into the water. Nearby, the shark was slowly moving towards them. The enemy soldier tried to drown Will. But Will showed courage, and, picking up a bomb lying on the plane's wing, threw it at the enemy. The bomb fell right near Denny. In the midst of the fight, Leo and Will cornered the enemy. The enemy was trying to grab the bomb, but Denny sacrificed his life. He grabbed the enemy's legs and pulled the bomb's pin, killing them both. Now only two were left alive, Leo and Will. They immediately started moving towards the support boat so they could reach safety before the shark could get them. In a few minutes, the fog cleared, and their boat became visible. But it could take days for rescuers to find them. Just then, Will saw a toolbox and a drift, and he made a plan to fix the engine. But Leo knew that as long as the shark was alive, it would be difficult for them to escape from here. So he picked up the last grenade and jumped into the sea. In front of him was the same great white shark. Leo cast aside his fear and pulled the grenade's pin. Then he forced the shark to attack him. The shark attacked him and swallowed his hand. In just a few seconds, the grenade exploded and the shark was destroyed in the blast. After this, Will pulled Leo out of the water and bandaged his severed arm. A few hours later, Will fixed the boat's engine, and both began their journey back home. and this is where the movie ends. If you liked the explanation, please like and comment on the video. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more such fun and unique